Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to another rendition of the B&H Virtual Event Space. We're joined today by Benjamin Brandon. Sorry, that's a tongue twister over there. Benjamin Brandon, say that 3 times fast. What's going on, Benjamin?
Nothing much, just making sure that my name is intended to do what it's supposed to do, which is mess you up.
There you go. You got me. You got me tongue-tied. So you definitely accomplished it. You already won. You already won the webinar event for the day.
Let's go.
Kudos to you. For anybody who didn't know, or maybe you got lost and forgot what you were doing here, Benjamin is going to be talking about the 5 audio myths that every video creator needs to know. We were talking about this before we went on the air, and everybody knows that you can shoot terrible video, although it's not advised. But you could, but you should never, ever, ever have bad audio. Am I right?
Oh, man, 1,000%.
1,000%. So you heard it here first. So that's a freebie. That's not included in the 5 myths because that's a factual thing. If you have any questions, maybe it's questionable. If you have any questions that you want to get over to Benjamin and you're joining us here on Zoom, please go ahead and use the Q&A tab. If you're joining us on live stream, Facebook, go ahead and drop any of those questions in the comments section and we'll get them over to Benjamin at the end of this webinar. Want to give a huge thanks as well to our sponsor for the event, Joby. Thanks so much for setting this up. Otherwise, Benjamin, I've taken up enough of your time. Nobody's here to see me. The floor is yours. Thanks for being here.
Absolutely. All right, let's get into it. I'm super duper excited to be here today. All right, let's get into it. I'm so excited. Audio, a passion, a necessity. Today, you're going to learn all about it. So what you're looking at right now is the most expensive microphone available on the market today. This is the Bronner VM1S, I believe. It's crazy because guess how much it is? Yeah, that's right. $10,799, which is crazy. And this was my reaction after looking at that price tag. Yeah, that's like real life. You could just mirror myself there. But why is it so expensive? Like, that's the biggest question. Like, why biggest question? Why would someone spend $10,000 on a microphone other than that? Well, you can go on to all the audio technical jargon, such as dual large diaphragm, multi-pattern stereo tube condensers, 2 independently controlled microphone capsules. You have 2 power supplies with vacuum tubes and high resolution sonic detail. But does anyone know what that means? I've been in the video game for over 15 years and I've tested and done a lot with audio. I barely know what half of that means. Better question is, do you need this mic for quality social video content? No, of course not. I would recommend, you're going to hear a funny story here in a minute, but no, you absolutely do not need something this crazy for the purpose of social media content. So I want you to meet Jake. Jake is a very successful Hollywood TV producer and a personal mentor of mine. I love Jake. He's like one of my favorite people of all time. So he called me one day, super excited, telling me he was about to start a YouTube podcast to share his many stories about the industry. We've had amazing conversations over a bottle of wine, and he would talk about the crazy stuff that goes on in the industry. And I was like, you should make a podcast. And 5 months later, I get the call that he's going to make a podcast. Super awesome. He also spent money on some gear and he wanted to get my advice on it, being that I'm a YouTuber and all that fun stuff. Well, Jake bought that Bronner $10,000 microphone, thinking that that's what he needed to make a quality podcast on YouTube. Yeah, this was my reaction after seeing that. Crazy. And this was his reaction after I told him he made a huge mistake. I literally got on the phone right after that, right after he told me. It was like, Jake, that was so much money. You do not need to do that. Return it immediately. And then 2 days later, he sends me this meme, essentially, because he returned the microphone. And well, he realized that he wasn't a smart man at that time, which brings us into today's talk. The 5 audio myths video creators need to know are myths. Every myth that I'll be debunking today came from real life direct messages from my fans on Instagram, or even in some YouTube comments when it came to videos about audio. So this is all real life scenarios. This is not just a typical myths. These are myths that I have personally seen other creators talk about or ask me. But a little bit about me. Who's this dude talking about audio today? Well, my name is Benjamin Brandon. If this is the first time we've met, salutations. How are you doing? Hope everything's well. How's your mom? I am a video producer and creative director at Media to Social here in the Austin, Texas area. I am also an Instagram creator, a YouTuber. I'm known for my vertical videos on YouTube and Instagram, so that's why I am dubbed the vertical video filmmaker. And I am also a proud Joby ambassador. So that's me. So if you're a video creator who wants to understand why audio is the most important part of your videos, you are totally in the right place. So let's do this thing. Myth number 1, I don't need to worry about audio if my video looks great. In most cases, this is just not the case. This is so not true. Unless you have security footage of a bobcat attacking your wife. Now, I want you to remember this because this right here is an amazing viral video, but it's horribly grainy. It's blurry all throughout. But the reason why it's so good is because you can hear what's going on. I also want you to remember something when it comes to audio, something very important. Audio is the silent killer of video watch time. I want you to let that sink in. I'm going to say it again. Audio is the silent killer of video watch time. Have you ever had an upload being a content creator that you thought would perform well? You finish it in post and you just upload it. You're like, this could be a banger. Ooh, I can't wait for what's to come. And it just flops. Yeah, it's happened to all of us, including myself. And this is an example of that. When this happens, most creators think about algorithms. They think about a whole bunch of stuff, timing, and I didn't release on this day. I should have released it on this day at this time. And a lot of the algorithmic stuff, the thumbnail sucked, all that fun stuff. But what about the audio? I'm showing you this example because this video was shot in my garage with no soundproofing, with a very cheap shotgun mic that was at least a foot away from me. So you can imagine how that sounded, echoey and just out of sync. It was so bad. But people will still watch video despite its grainy or blurry footage. The reason is because the audio is decent quality or you're actually able to hear it. It's audible. So this video right here, the bobcat attacking this man's poor wife, is a good example of that because it's an epic moment that was captured, but you can hear everything going on within this video, from the bobcat's roar to the husband picking up a piece of plastic to throw the bobcat across the lawn to his many curse words as well. It was just the timing of it, and the fact you were able to hear it was so awesome. And that's why this video was so engaging. So to break that down from a technical perspective, there is a better chance your audience could forgive grainy, noisy footage versus peaking, high gain, or static sounding audio. It's so much easier for an audience to forgive something that may be a little bit noisy or blurry versus the fact that it hurts their ears. Noisy footage and blurry footage doesn't hurt our eyes, but peaking audio and high gain audio, that hurts our ears. So you got to think about stuff like that. That's why I mentioned that audio is the silent killer of video watch time. So let's put each other in the shoes of what I'm mentioning, right? Say you tuned in to a YouTube live, and in the background, you hear a bunch of talking from the crew, a lot of clinking, clanking, maybe some dishes if someone's at the house, or even an air conditioner that's like on full max, and you just hear a bunch of buzzing. If you heard all that, would you stay to watch the full hour of that live? Chances are probably not. Several studies have shown that audio quality is a big impact on the viewer's perception of a video. I want you to think about that. Audio quality has a big impact on a viewer's perception of a video. The time it takes for you to frame up your shot, whether it's you shooting handheld or working on a tripod and leveling out your shot, trying to get your rule of thirds going, all that fun stuff, all that time it takes to do that, the same amount of time can go into checking your audio levels on your camera or even on your phone. It's super important. A lot of creators think about framing their shot, of course, but what about the audio? That's something to really look out for. The goal is to find the perfect balance between your video and audio quality. That is the goal. When you can do that successfully, when I started to do that successfully, that's when my content really started to pop, is just finding the perfect balance between the both. Myth number 2, I need expensive gear to get better audio. Now, you met my friend Jake, and we know that that's not true. But when it comes to an investment in your audio quality, it's always a good investment, but you don't have to break the bank in doing so. Like, let me say that again. You don't have to spend a ton of money to get great sounding audio for your videos. Let me break this down for you. Personally, I own a ton of microphones, over 15 now. I think they're all over there and behind me. And they range from anywhere from $40, which is like my cheaper one, all the way to $1,100. But when it comes to social media content, going on the higher end of that range is definitely an overkill. So I want you to think about something. Over 80% of social media consumers watch videos on their phones. Why do I bring that up? Because my $1,100 shotgun mic doesn't have a bigger advantage versus my $80 Joby Wavo, due to the fact that most of my viewers are watching stuff on their phones. Now, if they have headphones, they can probably hear a little bit of a difference, but it's not worth that huge price point going from $1,100 to $80, right? So that's why the Joby Wavo is super dope, because it's crisp, clear, whether your audience is watching your videos on just on their phone speaker or with headphones as well. Now, it's not for every situation, right? If you're shooting a television project, that's totally a different story. That's why I have the $1,100 Sennheiser mic, is for projects like this. I produce TV commercials. So that makes a lot of sense, right? But not for social media content. We're online creators. We can get away with only using the gear necessary for the arena that we play in, which is social media. Which is awesome because it's a lot cheaper to invest in equipment when you're producing social media content versus television commercials, right? Which I guess that would make sense in the contrast. So me personally, I never leave home without my Joby Wavo mic, my TRRS cable, and my iPhone adapter. And here's why. The Joby Wavo is my go-to mic because it works on my Canon R5 and my iPhone. So in any shooting situation, I only have one mic setup, whether it's shooting on my very expensive, $6,000 rig with the R5 and, one of my lenses, or if I'm just shooting on my iPhone, I can use the same mic equally with great audio quality. So I don't have to worry about audio because I've invested in the gear to allow me not to think about the audio. And with that, I get the question all the time. How much should I spend on a good microphone? Okay, so listen up here, because I'm going to share with you a cheat code so you don't get stuck with a dud mic and you don't get overcharged for a mic you don't need. What I'm about to share with you right now is going to help you determine what you should pay for when it comes to a mic in whatever shooting situation you're in. Listen to the guy that's purchased over 20 plus microphones throughout the years and learn from my mistakes, fam. That's like the theme of today, is learn from Benjamin's mistakes. So for cameras, sticking to an $80 to a $300 price range will get you a quality mic for any shooting situation. The price range depends on your preferences. Do you like to be far away from the camera? Do you care if your mic has batteries versus no batteries and it's just phantom powered? Do you want specific decibel presets on your microphones to toggle between when it comes to indoor environments and outdoor environments? Like, there's so much caveats to think about with this price range, but that's what differentiates the $80 mic versus a $300 mic, is just what I just mentioned. Now, when it comes to phones, Sticking to a $40 to $80 price range will get you a suitable phone microphone, depending on if you are a vlogger or if you even want to start a podcast on your phone. Like that's all possible with it, with one of these $40 to $80 microphones. The point is, there are a lot of microphones out there that do different things. So this range that I just mentioned accounts for all of them when it comes to social media content. So if you're an Instagram creator, if you're a YouTuber, if you're a Twitch streamer, if you're a TikToker, like these ranges, the 80 to 300 and the 40 to the 80, those ranges will be suitable for your content. I promise you. This is a signed, sealed, and delivered Benjamin branded guarantee. So do me a favor, just knowing all of that. Don't be Jake. Please don't. Don't pay too much for a mic. Don't pay too little for a mic. Find the perfect balance. Because you're not that guy, pal. You're just not that guy. Trust me. You're not that guy. It's probably one of my most favorite memes of all time. Now that you know what you should spend on a mic, let's debunk myth number 3, which will help you choose the mic that you need. Myth number 3. All microphones do the same thing. Now, this couldn't be farther from the truth. Shockingly, I get DMs like this all the time with this particular type of question. And here, I'm going to even show you a direct quote from a follower on Instagram. Hey, what mic should I buy? They're all kind of the same, right? Well, no. Again, that's a direct quote. There are several mics used for video today. Let's go over the top 3 for social media content. Here are the 3 types of microphones that can benefit your social media content and will prove that all microphones are not the same. The first one is a shotgun mic. I think we're, as video creators, we're all pretty familiar with a shotgun mic, whether it's our favorite creators using them, or you just kind of, hear amongst the creator community that shotgun mics are kind of like the go-to. And there's so many reasons why. I think the biggest one is because it holds what's called a supercardioid polar pattern. Now, I'm not going to get too technical, but we'll go over some of the benefits of what that means. So with the shotgun mic, you get crystal clear sound 6 to 8 inches away from the microphone. So if you can see me on my little screen here, I have my Joby Wavo in front of me, and I'm obviously, 3-4 inches away from the microphone. And it's crystal clear. Granted, we're on a computer, we're on Zoom, but you can still hear me pretty good, right? When it comes to putting on your camera or on your phone, the same rules apply, 6 to 8 inches away. Super clear, crystal clear. The other benefit is shotgun mics are not seen within your shot. If you're vlogging, you don't see a mic, anywhere. You could see if you have a lapel or a lav mic, that's another situation. But with shotgun mics, they're like invisible. They're also super compact. I mean, look at this guy. You can look at the picture on the slide. That's my Joby Wavo with a Windjammer, wind muff there, like the dead cat. It's super tiny. Like if I were to take this off real quick, hopefully you guys can see this. Like this thing is tiny. Sorry if that had audio scratch. But what a supercardioid does, this is packed into most shotgun mics. It picks up direct sound from right in front of the mic. And it also provides side rejection. As you can see the graphic up on the screen, you can see that the green defines the pattern or the sound barrier in which comes into the microphone itself, the internal components within the mic. So for me, as someone who's talking to you right now on the shotgun mic, I am here, but if I were to go over here, you can kind of not hear me, right? So that's the difference, right? But it provides side rejection. So if I have people talking here and here, to the left or the right of me, you can still hear me clear. And that's one of the benefits of the supercardioid and shotgun mic. This mic is perfect for vloggers, TikTokers, or any creator that is the main subject of a video, i.e. vloggers. Whether you film inside, outside, or even in public, like a coffee shop, which is where me and my goofy face is right there, a shotgun mic is totally a good solution for you. And the best part with shotgun mics is most are compatible with phones nowadays. All you need is a special cable called the TRRS cable and an adapter if you own an iPhone, and you're good to go. As you can see right here, my friend has her adapter with their TRS cable, and she's using the Joby Wavo on her phone. Mic number 2, lav mics. Lavs are great for single or dual person shooting. They're oftentimes used in interviews a lot. They're also your go-to mics for eliminating distance between you and your camera, meaning you're not horribly restricted to 6 to 8 inches from the mic. The biggest advantage of lav mics is you get to place them closer to your mouth for clear sound. So that's usually a hand finger span apart. So I don't know if you can see this on the little screen, but that as long as it's placed, within your hand's reach of your collar, or even on, you can even clip it on a hat, for God's sake. That's one of the benefits of a lav mic. Lav mics have what's called an omnidirectional polar pattern, which means they pick up sound. They can pick up sound from other areas around the mic. So they're best used in controlled indoor environments. So that's why we see them a lot on television, local news, or even like, one of our popular video podcasts. Sometimes when they're an interview style, they'll clip on a lav, faster, easier, and less restriction when it comes to movement. But they do sound crystal clear around the mouth. They provide sound away from a camera again, so your distance is between there and there. They can also pick up sound from other areas, so that's something to be, aware of. But as long as your subject is talking, even if there's noise, here or there in any which direction, you're still going to pick up the subject or, the dialogue. But it's not to say you won't hear some of that stuff too. So omnidirectional is not as zero pinpointed as like a super cardioid shotgun mic. So keep that in mind. But if you're a foodie creator or someone making instructional videos, or as you see here, my friend making a recipe video, or a creator that moves around the camera a lot, TikTokers nowadays are very much so away from the camera. So lavs are good options for them. Lav mics are becoming super popular. I have here the Joby Wavo lav here, and it's just so tiny. So nowadays, people are on TikTok are literally holding a lav mic and talking directly to it, and they're kind of farish away from the camera. So that's kind of like a new trend nowadays. So another good example of why lav mic is good for the person that needs to be away from the camera, doing some instructional stuff without having to worry if they have to talk directly into the microphone. As you can see here, you can just hear the difference. I have a shotgun supercardioid mic that I am not speaking directly to, versus now where I'm speaking directly to the mic. You can tell the difference there, right? And the last mic is a condenser mic. Now, the condenser mics are what you want to use to start like a podcast or even a streaming channel of some sort. They're a good first step in quality audio for those type of arenas. Condenser mics have a cardioid polar pattern, which provides a 0 to 80 degree sensitivity, which basically means you get a clean, clear, dry signal with this mic, and it blends out external noise away from the mic as well. But this is how podcasts sound so sharp and punchy with a good condenser mic. I think for me, my favorite part about condensers is they require little to no audio tweaking in post-production. Like that's the greatest part. Like what you hear is what you get, and there's minor inflections for you to actually change when it comes to post-production. So that's probably my favorite part. But the cardioid polar pattern picks up a little bit of noise from the sides of the mic, right? It's not as zeroed in as a supercardioid, which is why you would want to use this in a controlled indoor environment as well, which is why, most podcasts are in studios. It's a perfect place to start that. But not all podcast mics are condensers, and that's something important to note. So there are mics out there with large diaphragms that are super popular as well. But a condenser mic is a great option for a podcast to start off if you want to invest into like a Shure SM70, which is I believe, the most popular podcast mic right now. You don't need to get there yet. Stick within that price point range, start the podcast, start it with great quality, and then the rest is history. So now you know how much to invest in a mic and what kind of mic you should choose, depending on your situation as a creator. You also know how to avoid pulling a Jake. But what about the mobile creators out there? The next myth is for y'all, and it's probably the most debated myth out of all 5. Myth number 4. Microphones on phones are not required. Let me say it again. Microphones on phones are not required. This is the one that I've had plenty of back and forth DMs about, plenty of conversations with my personal creator friends. Yeah, let's debunk this one. I want to break it down to you like this. Nowadays, we see major enhancements for smartphone video recording, starting with a phone with one lens, moving to 2 lenses, and now up to 3, and 3 big ones with the latest iPhone release. We also see internal stabilization upgrades, 60p and 4K capabilities, and most recently, ProRes video capability on iPhones. Like, that's crazy. That's like bananas in pajamas. Like, I can't believe that's a thing now. But what about the audio? We rarely see enhancements for audio recording. That is exactly why an external microphone on a phone is beneficial, to keep up with the video quality enhancements we see on our phones every year. So here's why you should consider adding an external microphone to your smartphone. I'm going to tell you an embarrassing story. Several years back, I was vlogging at an event, speaking to one of my creative idols, Jack Conte, who is now the CEO of Patreon. And I decided to shoot our little vlog, our little scene with just my phone, just because it would be quicker and faster to do, and I didn't have to get out my camera and all that. I was shooting with this phone right here, and I didn't have an external microphone for it at the time because I didn't think I needed one. So after the talk, I ran up to my hotel room to cut up this footage. I was so excited. I dropped it into Final Cut, listened to the audio, and OMG, did it sound like trash. Complete trash. It was so bad. It was so bad. I'm not proud. I'm not proud. I spent over 2 hours using every audio editing technique that I knew in my brain arsenal just to make the audio sound presentable, and it still wasn't the best. So to make my embarrassment even worse, I'll play a quick audio clip of that video so you can hear what I'm talking about.
All the vertical thirds, which is actually taking, your rule of thirds, but applying it vertically.
Oh, so you cut it into sections,
cut it in sections.
Ooh, that's amazing.
Yeah,
I
so
love
I've done that, and that's the whole tutorial and stuff. So it's funny you say that.
Yeah. So what you should have heard was just a bunch of background noise, a bunch of people talking. We're in a event space environment, right? Not a B&H event space, but it was just bad. Like, you can sympathize with me on how bad that sounds. You can hear Jack, you can hear me, but not as crystal clear as what we would want, nor for the fact that that video didn't perform as well as my other videos on IGTV. So you got to chalk it up to the fact that it was the audio versus like the algorithm or the story itself. I mean, it's Jack Conte. He's a creative legend, so the topic was there and interesting, and I narrated it appropriately, but the audio was bad. And that's when I knew I needed an external mic for my phone moving forward. So that's when I picked up the Joby Wavell Mobile. And here's why. Putting an external microphone like the Wavell Mobile on a phone provides a cardioid polar pattern, just like I mentioned as the condenser mics have. The reason why that's beneficial is because the phones have what's called the omnidirectional polar pattern, the same polar pattern I was mentioning with lav mics. A lot of sound can be picked up from all around it, unless you're talking like right to it, right? So that's why phones, that makes sense, because we put the phones to our mouths, right? And that's why people can hear us. The omnidirectional mic is allowing us to do that. So what do I want? Do I want a cardioid polar pattern, a little bit more clear-cut digital sound, or do I want an omnidirectional, which you can just hear everything as you heard with the vlog with Jack Conte? So throwing something like this on it will eliminate a lot of that background noise that you heard. Now, I'm not saying that putting a external microphone for my phone would have zeroed out the background noise completely. I'm not saying that at all. What I am saying is it would have absolutely saved me 2 hours of editing just to have that audio be presentable. That's what it would have done. And yes, of course, you would have heard Jack and I a lot better. So if you think an external mic for your phone doesn't do anything, I need you to learn from my mistake, fam. You heard the mistake. It was awful. Moving on to the fifth and final myth that I need to debunk, this one is more focused around the creative side of things in post-production. Myth number 5, sound effects in videos are pointless. Here is why that is totally not true. The average attention span of a viewer watching an online video as of today is 8 to 10 seconds. Like, say it with me now. 8 to 10 seconds is what we have to spark a viewer right then and there. Crazy. So if you're not stimulating the brain of your viewers every 8 to 10 seconds, you will lose them, and they may most likely will stop watching your video because they're i.e. bored. Adding sound effects is a very effective way to grab your viewers' attention and keep them engaged into your content. Whether it's a swoosh or a bang or a glitch, people will start to notice more. Like, there's times where we look away from our phone, our computer, just because we're out of that 8 to 10 second span and we're bored, but then we hear a ding or a whoosh and we suddenly go back because our brain is sparked. That's what sound effects do. So here's a real life example. If you're adding a visual element to a video, like for me, a YouTube notification bell, adding a simple click and a ding sound effect can add more attention to that particular visual. So imagine just seeing this raise up with no audio. Okay, cool, you're seeing it. But let's say I'm over here, spacing out real quick, and then I turn back and I see some animation ending. I don't know what it is, but if I'm over here looking away at something and then I hear a ding and a click, I immediately go and see what the heck was that on my phone or my computer. That's the power of sound effects. It allows people to focus more on what's shown on screen. Sound effects emphasize what's shown on screen. They also can trigger emotional responses. This is huge, guys. When your content can tug a viewer's emotions, any one of these, anger, disgust, sadness, joy, trust, fear, if you can spark any one of these emotions within a video, it is guaranteed to perform well. All my viral videos had sparked some type of emotion. Emotions are shareable, and shareable equals viral. Remember this. This is the secret to viral videos right here, fam. Shareable equals viral. With sound effects, you can spark fear into a viewer. Just think about it. When was the last scary movie you watched? We're getting close to Halloween time, right? So let's say, there's a scene where you see the camera slowly pulling in on a door frame and you hear the creaks and the score that's so scary. You're just like, what's going to pop up? What's going to pop up? And then it pops up and you're like, ugh. And there's always a or a bang or some type of sound effect to punctuate that particular scary frame. That's what sound effects do. They can also spark anticipation. So the time it takes for you to go from one area of a room slowly pulling into another area of the room. Scary movies are great for that. You can also spark joy, glimmers, bling, sound effects all around. The list goes on. Sparking emotion keeps your audience tuned in. And that's the number one thing us video creators must be responsible for. Creating content that keeps our audience tuned in. Because whatever motivation you have for creating content, whether it's to spark someone's day in a positive way, to inform someone in something that they didn't know, all those have particular emotions. Triggering one of these is the goal, and sound effects totally help with that. Emotional responses, bass, swoosh, click, puffs, all of that. Sound effects are the goal. And with that, my beautiful vert friends, I have debunked the 5 audio myths video creators need to know are myths. If you have any questions, we'll obviously get into Q&A here for a little bit, but you can access me at Access Benjamin. Feel free to DM me on the Instagram. You can watch some of my tutorials similar to today's talk on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/accessbenjamin, at me at Twitter. Thank you so much for your time, ears, and attention. I really appreciate it. Thank you for BNH and Joby for having me. And I will take any questions you have.
Well, first of all, thank you, Benjamin. Thank you for being here. Thank you for going over those 5 myths and debunking them. I want to say thank you to Joby as well for sponsoring the event. Obviously we've talked a lot about audio and video and the misconception that, I kind of introed and sort of led with that you sort of kind of backed me up on here, that you could always watch a poor shot video with quality audio. Now, for everybody who tuned in to this and listened to your speech and what you had to say, they're already winning the game because they've already got, the keys to the kingdom, so to speak. You've given away the secrets and you let them know what it is that they need to do to get better audio.
Yeah.
But there's still so many people out there, and I'm sure you see this on a regular basis. I'm sure you get tons of messages on a regular basis. I know, being inside of a retail environment and hearing a lot of questions that, customers ask on a day-to-day basis, it's always very, very video centric. And it's always comes down to, like you said, I'm willing to spend several $1,000s on a camera for the best image I can capture, for the best video I can capture. But everybody always sort of, I don't want to say cheaps out on the audio, but they're not willing to invest as much in audio.
Oh,
and
totally.
so, as creatives and creators and people like us, how do we get that message more broad across to people that this is what they need to do?
Yeah, that's a good question. I honestly think it's a mixture of, wait, hold on. Should I stop my screen? Will you look at me full time?
I could look at you full time. That's fine. We
Okay.
could, unless you want to leave your IG and everything up. So if people, are chiming in still and they want to see where they can catch you, write it down or anything like that, that's fine with us too.
Access me at Access Benjamin. At least you can see me now.
There you go.
Okay. So I honestly think it's the motivation to get better and master your craft when it comes to video. Every video creator has a purpose and a reason why they're making video. And it's not usually starting off with like, I just want to make money. It's usually some type of motivational factor. And I think when it comes to that should inspire you to want to get better at your craft. And the best way to do that is to learn from others, whether it's live streams like this, whether it's watching your favorite creators and watching outside of the perspective of a viewer and more so a creator. Like he sounds crystal clear right now. Wait, he's about 3 feet away from the camera, but I can hear him clearly. Like, start to ask those questions, because that's how you'll get better, because then you'll be able to replicate those particular scenarios that you're questioning. And I think that's where it starts, is mastering the craft and being motivated to get better when it comes to audio. Because audio, yeah, like you said it best, it's the one thing people neglect. Like, it's the silent killer of video watch time. So when people think about algorithms or the video sucked itself, no one thinks about the audio as the number one thing. And
Yeah.
I've proven in the debunking of the myths and bad videos from myself that is indeed the case.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I can just speak to my experience with all the social media that we use and things like that. I don't even really leave the audio on anymore. I just kind of turn it off. I just, I scroll through things and I go on to the next one, because I've almost grown accustomed to the fact that most videos that get shot for, whether it be YouTube or Instagram, they're just not there audio wise. So I just kind of keep the audio off, which is a shame.
Yeah, man. Stopping the scroll is the biggest thing, and the first 1 to 3 seconds of your video is the most important. And if it sounds bad or no one hears it, right, that's a big deflector too. Usually your first 12, 15 frames are going to have someone make the decision to watch your video on Instagram. But when they tap on your video and then they start to hear the audio, what are they going to hear? Is it going to sound like garbage, like the example I showed? Or is it going to be something that will help carry the narrative of this 1 minute video? You know what I mean?
Yeah. So just a reminder to everybody, while we're going through these questions, if you had any questions, if you didn't know, you can share them below. If you're on the Zoom chat, you can go ahead and use the Q&A tab. Live stream and Facebook, you can go ahead and drop any questions in the comment section and we'll get to them as they come. But feel free, we're here chatting with Benjamin and just, talking about audio, which I actually really have grown to love as I've gotten more accustomed to it. I've started to really dive into it. So one of the things you mentioned is you create a lot of content as well with your phone, which I think everybody's got a phone at this point.
Yeah.
Most people have access to video. You have a nice little, it looks like a nice little Joby setup over there, right?
Yeah, man. So we got the Podzilla, which actually just came out today, everyone. So FYI. So yeah, this is I'm showing off my mobile setup, which is my iPhone, the new Podzilla, and I have this. Oh shoot! If I clipped it, that would have been nice. The TRS cable that I mentioned, and then iPhone adapter for it as well. Like this is my quick, easy setup. Had I had this when I was talking to Jack in that vlog, it would have been a game changer.
Game changer, yeah, game changer. So when you record a video nowadays, now that you're not making the same mistakes that Jack was making when he bought that super expensive mic, we've got something that's in the wheelhouse, easy to carry around. How do you go about then editing your audio? Do you edit the audio, or do you just kind of export straight out once it's recorded and then go in?
Yeah, that's a great question. So it depends on the content. It depends what it's for. So I will say I edit every YouTube video and the audio. I tweak the audio there. I usually try to level up the bass a little bit. I will not mess with gain just because I shoot my videos with the Wavo, and it has a high output, so there's no need to do that. But I also try to get rid of any background noise. Now, granted, I'm in a studio-ish environment, so there's no noise, but more so just that crisp audio. I have a preset, so it doesn't take me any time at all, but it's really working with boosting the gain and leveling down midtones. And then I also enhance the stereo decibel levels a little bit, just so I want it to almost sound like a podcast,
Yeah, sure.
But when it comes to my phone, so that's the great part, is like Instagram content and whatnot. No, there's no audio editing required because it's picking me up just fine. If anything, I'll raise the dBs a little bit on certain parts of the dialogue if my microphone is a little farther away and versus here. That's all I do, if anything at all.
So one-stop shop really with that.
Yeah, like it's amazing. Like with the Wavo on the phone is a game. Like I don't do anything to that. Like that's a game changer. Since it's a super cardioid, right? So it gets me. Whereas the Wavo mobile, it's the $40 microphone I mentioned. It's a cardioid mic, so it'll still pick up some stuff around, and it's not as like super strong as this guy, to the point where if I turn this way, you're not going to hear me. You know what I mean? Right. So that's the only thing, is you raise the decibels on that, because you're paying what you're getting for. That's perfect for the scenario I was in with Jack Conte. This is like almost an overkill for a phone, but it's super awesome as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So we got Hugh joining us here on Zoom, and he said, "What's up, dude?" And would want to know what would be your go-to audio solution if you're recording bass. And I think when he's saying recording bass, I think he's referring to the bass guitar. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm just going out on the limb there.
Bass guitar. I know, Hugh. That's my man. Yeah, it would be guitar. He's quite the fiddler. So it's recording bass. I would say this. It would probably be beneficial to get a cardioid mic. So I think even that, like the Wavo Mobile, because it's not going to output that humongous bass sounding projection. It's going to condense it a lot. So especially if you put a wind muff on it, I think going cardioid is the best solution for that. Putting a super cardioid on a bass, you're going to get nothing but bass. So if you do a cardioid like the Wavo Mobile, I think that's a good solution.
Cool. And so, just kind of piggybacking off that, you mentioned, the windscreen. I think there might be some people out there, you usually see them on like, the little lapel mics as well. What purpose does that serve in the audio world?
Oh, that's a good question. So a lot. Theoretically, I don't need to do this. I can take off this little wind muff. And the reason being is wind resistance is what it does, right? So if you look at the Wavo here, you have this shock mount. So that supports movement and wind. So that's the biggest part of a wind muff, is doing that. The reason why I leave it on is because I project a lot, and I also have a lot of sounds. So that's perfect for dampening my lisps and my puffy lips. You know what I
No,
mean?
your pronunciation of P's.
P's and T's and S's. Exactly. Yeah,
Awesome.
so that's the wind is the number one thing. I'll never leave home without a wind muff for vlogging, because I'm typically out on a boosted board or something like that.
Yeah. So now Joe's coming to us from Zoom, wants to know, can you recommend a lapel mic for sound reinforcement, like a speaker in a reverberant hall or church?
Oh, that's a good one. So you would probably need to go on the higher end of lavs, because if you were to think you need a lav that you're able to level the mono and stereo gain. So there's mics out there. I think B&H has the Sennheiser XS series lav mics. Those are great. They are pricey, but they do repel a lot of echo. Granted, you're in a church environment, so right there, it's designed for echo, right? But I think this would be a good solution, the Sennheiser XS series lav mics, because they are plug and play. They're also XLR Zoom compatible, so you can plug them into an external audio recorder, and you can tweak there before the service starts or whatnot. I think that's a good solution.
Well, and then just as a follow-up from Joe is, are there any cardioid lapel mics?
Yeah, I'm almost positive the Sennheiser one I mentioned has a cardioid polar pattern. Don't quote me on that, but it's a lot more direct than the typical lav that are omnidirectional.
Yeah, and Joe, if you do have further questions about that, you could always hop on the B&H site and chat with us. We've got tons of people. They're just waiting to talk to you. They're seriously, they're just sitting at home waiting to talk to somebody about audio. So give them a ring, give them a chat. They're ready to go on that.
That's cool.
So I think that we did kind of hint on this before, but I think Avis might have missed this right as we were talking about it. Would you use the Wavo on your smartphone, even though it's a little bit of overkill?
Yeah. I mean, it's not that would I, it's more like I do, honestly. I wasn't lying when I said the only setup I have for a mic now in my camera bag is the Wavo, a TRS cable and a TRRS cable. Those are two different cables, one for phone, one for camera. And then I have my my iPhone adapter as well, because lightning,
Yeah.
But when I say it's overkill not necessarily because of the quality, but more so because of the price. If you're someone, and I'm super sensitive, as once being a starving artist, if every penny needs to matter in some regard, then it's an overkill, because you can still get crisp audio with the Wavo Mobile, right? But if you have the extra $40 and you maybe don't want to like boost up your dBs and post with that, then yeah, this is perfect. And it's my everyday carry. It's what I use for my phone when I'm not doing that or showing it off as I am right now. But yeah, I think it's a price point and what your budget looks like, but overkill in the sense of price, not in the sense of quality.
Sure. And then just as a follow-up from Hugh, just wanted to follow up on that, referring to the bass. Would the Wavo Mobile have to face the amp while recording?
Yes. So being that it's a cardioid, it still has a less direct polar pattern and sound frequency than a supercardioid. So instead of doing this, it's more like that. It's more roundish. So keep that in mind. But yes, I would put it don't put it right next to it. I would say, 8 inches away is a good length.
Yeah, definitely don't put it right on top of that, right? then you have some issues. So Benjamin, I want to thank you again for being here. Want to give a huge thanks to Joby as well. Manfrotto, Lopro, who we've been hanging out all day with those guys, having a blast. If you've missed it, go ahead and head over to the live stream website, livestream.com/BH event space. And you can rewatch all of that stuff. If you want to check out any of the new products that were announced from Manfrotto, Lopro, even Joby today, like you said, you have the Podzilla, right?
Oh yeah, this thing is amazing. It is so flexible. It feels great. It's like the new way to grip. I don't know, man. It's like Do I need to use my Gorilla Pods at this point in my life?
I know I saw that. I saw that on the website today. So if you head over to the B&H website, it's actually one of the first banners you should see. You can check out all of the new products, and I was checking that out today, and I was eyeing that as well, because whenever I'm in the gym, I'm always looking for something that's bendy and flexy, and that's why we talked about this before. I've got an old school Gorilla Pod that it's been put through the paces, and maybe it's time to retire and let it have a little bit of rest. So maybe the Podzilla is my next avenue of what I'm looking at.
Oh, Scott, there's no if. This thing is awesome. Like, I'm telling you, I've already wrapped it around so many things I shouldn't have been wrapping it around on. And let's just say I got caught by a security guard out in public, and instead of criticizing me, he asked what this was. And I was like, it's the new Podzilla. It's not, at the time it wasn't out yet, right? Because it came out today. I was like,
right.
You can't tell anyone. Like, who am I going to tell? I just want to know what it was. Have a good day.
Well, hopefully you told him that he could buy it on B&H's website.
Well, of course I did.
Obviously. Well, Benjamin, thanks so much again for being here. Joby, thanks so much for sponsoring the event. I hope everybody took something away. At least one of the myths hopefully helped you out. But stay tuned. We're going to be back here at 5 p.m. to bring you our last event of the day. And save the best for last, right? Finish off strong. We'll be back with Dixie Dixon talking about some Manfrotto things. So thanks again. Stay tuned, and we'll catch you on the next one. Have a great day, everybody.